Hi, I'm Toni Preckwinkle, chair of the Cook County Democratic Party. And this is The 80, our podcast about the Democratic Party, its leaders, and its candidates. We're beginning the podcast by interviewing our elected Democratic Committee people to discuss their backgrounds and thoughts about the history and future of our party. Today, I'm excited to welcome an old friend, Alderman Emma Mitts, Alderman and Committee Person of the 37th Ward. Welcome, Emma.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here, to be a part of the Democratic Party, and as an elected official. It's great.
Well, thank you.
A great service.
Thank you. Tell us where the 37th Ward is, Emma. It's a West Side ward.
Okay, it's very unique. We're a little bit off of Oak Park, which is Central Avenue, would be the west bounds for the ward. Central on the west, and on the east we go as far as Avers Avenue. On the north we have Grand Avenue, and on the south we go as far as West End, to make up the boundaries similar of the 37th Ward.
Okay, so it's a West Side ward in the city of Chicago.
West Side Ward.
All right, now tell us your own history. It's kind of interesting. You didn't, as I didn't, grow up in the city of Chicago. Tell us how you got your start and how you came to Chicago.
Well, I think my story is kind of phenomenal. It's one that folks who had upbringing like myself normally feel uncomfortable sharing with others. But for me, I love to talk about my past because then I can appreciate my future. So I came from a family of 16. I grew up in rural Arkansas. I was born in Tupelo, Mississippi. We moved. I was born in 1955, the year that Emmett Till was killed. My parents lived not far from him. So once Emmett Till had passed, the story they've given us, everybody in the area who had boys had to leave. So she picked us up and we moved to a little town in Arkansas called Elaine, Arkansas. So during my upbringing, I was raised similar as a sharecropper. Didn't know anything any different because I was a child. We would be farmers. I was too small to go to fields, but we had to babysit each other because it looked like we always had a baby in the house. I grew up and at some point, I'm like, oh, why we have to have so many sisters and brothers? I'm about tired of washing diapers. But of course, the love that we have one that we had to keep taking care of them. But my mother was such a hard worker. My father were the one to go out and take the cotton to the bale, to the barn, to the cotton gin, right? Grind the cotton and pay, get a certain portion. So we were making our living that way. As I grew older, that was the role that we knew. That's what we had to do. There were three things: pick cotton, chop cotton, and pull cotton. We didn't get to be raised up in the urban environment. It was always rural. And that way they were able to instill in us the values of growing up and teaching us how to take care of yourself. What motivated me to want to be in government and change some of those things was because I was in the field. I was probably about 10th grade, and we were chopping cotton. But I saw my white students in my classroom, my classmates, and they were sitting on the porch. and they were drinking lemonade, and I could clearly see them drinking lemonade. But we were thirsty for some water in the fields. I'm like, wow, this is not what I'm living for. This is not what the Bible speaks of. This is not right. And my mother, they started a boycott in Helena. They really boycott, and it was a serious movement with the town of Helena, West Helena, Arkansas. And they were locking up my mother. They told her not to go in the store, and if she did, what they was going to do. But because they had these meetings and they planned ahead, and they knew somebody was going to get locked up, but they were also planning to get them out of jail. She got arrested, her and my sister, but they got out of jail because they were fighting for the rights for all of us. You know, when I graduated, I wanted to make it my goal to not ever go to the cotton field again. So I went to nursing school. Once I graduated, I went a year in nursing. I found out that wasn't the field that I really wanted to be in because I didn't like blood and I didn't like giving shots. And I felt sorry for the elderly who was sick. And so I'm like, okay, this is depressing here. I left and went to AMN College in Pine Bluff. And there was a summer I was out of college that I came to Chicago. I had many relatives here with my sister because I was refusing to go to the field. So I came here to work the summer on a job, and I was going to go back to school. But I came and got a job. I started at McDonald's, but I didn't go back. I said, well, I'll do my schooling in Chicago.
So just a second, you grew up in Arkansas. Hold on, you grew up in Arkansas, and the experiences you had there both.
I didn't come to Chicago until I was 19. I grew up in Arkansas. I came to Chicago in 1974 or 75.
Okay, so you're about 20.
And once I got here, you know, there were an organization. I remember living on Ohio. There was an organization who were out canvassing for voters registration.
Yeah.
And getting people's registered. And there was a young man that came by my house. And they were so persistent about being registering to vote that I was eager to go and register. And that organization was the 28th Ward regular Democratic organization then held by William Bill Carruthers. So I got my first voter's registration card here in Illinois through that organization. And of course, they didn't let me stop there because once I registered, now you could be a precinct captain, or you can be a worker and you could do this work and you could do, well, it kind of fit what I like doing anyway in terms of educating people and educating myself at the same time about government. Next thing I knew, I was not only a precinct captain, now I'm a judge for the board of election, and they pay.
Helping conduct elections.
I'm getting a little money here now for just doing community work and being a part of a process that then kept us out for many decades where people couldn't vote. So I was very excited about working as a judge. And from there, next thing you have to take the steps, you know, just become a a worker and then get to be a precinct captain. You got to know what you're doing to be able to go out and talk to people. And then when you get to be a precinct captain, you got to have followers so that you can have them to go out and do the same work that you were doing and getting people involved. And that's your mission in the jobs. In that organization, I moved up from being a worker to a precinct captain to a community organizer. Now I got to organizing the whole organization to helping to elect. The first election I worked on was Bill Carruthers. And my God, that was a good lesson I got then.
He was both alderman and committeeman.
Right, but he got whipped real good. It was during the movement of Harold Washington. And I'm like, oh, what done happened here?
So you were very involved with Bill Carruthers' organization.
Yes.
I know that Ed Smith ran a number of times before he won.
Yeah.
And after that painful loss, what did you do?
After that, William Banks became alderman. Then Percy Giles became the alderman from my area.
And you succeeded Percy Giles?
Yes, Percy.
Okay.
And I succeeded Percy Giles. But I worked with all of them all along the way. You really don't need to make enemies in politics. That's for folks who I think that haven't really grown up and matured. You build friends. You can agree and disagree on things. I see the politics every day, but I have no appetite for the negative part of it. People are hurting too much, so I want to get on to the good stuff and try to help someone. And that's pretty much
What's
what
motivated
I do. I
you?
would really like to see what's motivate me.
That's what motivates you to try to help people.
I have a good, this my struggle that I had.
Right.
And hard work and getting up every morning knowing that you have the power in you to make something happen.
To make a change.
That motivates me every day when I get up and look in the mirror. I am held accountable for me. And I have sworn and taken an oath that I would serve, I would protect the constituents and the residents of my community. And I held that obligation to God. So now you got to beef with me, take it up with God, because I am doing what I promised him that I would do. And I sworn to it at the same time. So my oath, I hold dear and true to my heart.
Well, listen, we're very grateful that you took time to share your story with us. And it's inspiring. You know, you started out as a sharecropper and ended up in the city of Chicago as an elected official.
I love to help people. So I think that I am doing the work of my calling, not just because I was appointed or someone chose me. I'm doing the work that I was given and designed to do by God, and that's to help people, because that's what we did. You didn't have them, and so you help share. You get somebody some food to eat. You don't know who they are, but if you can provide some clothing for them, you're not using, pass it down. If you can get a kind word, they're always good that we can do instead of the bad. People choose to do bad things. It takes a strong person to do good and do what's right, and trying to keep that focus every day. So I want to be able to know that I done earned my crown. So
all right.
I'm working right on my crown.
Well, listen, thank you very much. Alderman and committee person Emma Mitz, a fascinating
you.
story of your life and commitment to the people of your ward. I want to thank you for joining us for our podcast.
Thank you for having me. I enjoyed it and love to tell that story.
All right, thank you.